Good morning, everyone. I wanted to come on and remind you of tonight's podcast. I'll be doing live at 6:30 p.m. with Commissioner Holmes. He's commissioner in Galveston County of Precinct 3 in Galveston County. I'm asking you all to please tune in on tonight. He's going to provide us with a wealth of information, his role as a commissioner, and I'm quite sure he'll probably talk about some of the new restrictions that many of us may not understand that has happened in the state of Texas. He's been a commissioner for several years, and he knows this in and out. So I'm not going to talk about something that I don't know enough about. I want to talk to someone who's a professional at this. He's a politician, has been for many years, and understands a lot of the things that we might not understand with all of these restrictions and changes that have come up with voting laws. I'm going to say also this morning, not only am I asking you to tune in on tonight for this podcast on Electra James Inspirational Talks. I was listening to Joe Madison this morning, Sirius XM, Urban View 126, and he was sharing all of the different laws that have been put into place in 19 states, making it harder for people to vote. What I'm saying this morning, like he said, you don't allow people to make you sit down because that's what they want when you know you got to do the best thing for you. It's nothing like getting back up and fighting for what's right when people try to knock you down. You got to get up. We got to get up. We got to stay up. And you know, I also heard him say something else. When you're going to lose some, you're going to win some. And I'm not just talking about voting. I'm just talking about life. We cannot take a back seat. We got to not. And I'm talking about the human race. The human race. We cannot take a back seat and pretend as if nothing is happening in life overall, because different things are happening around this country as a whole. Different things are happening in our individual lives. Things are happening. But I also heard Judge Karen say that if you keep getting up in the morning and putting one foot in front of the other, things will get better. Things will. But you got to keep rising up in the morning and keep going at the same thing that people try to knock you down on. People try to make you feel like what you're doing isn't right. Or, you know, and that can be any aspect in life. It's just that right now, voting is the focus. If you don't understand something, listen to people who are the experts in this stuff. I'm a fact finder. I do my best to go find facts, because we can have different opinions and we should respect one another's opinions, but we cannot have different facts. The facts are the facts. And one of the things is you don't sit down because somebody is trying to keep something from you. You get up and you keep fighting and you go another route if you have to. I am so excited about having, when I had Dr. King William King, who is running for Galveston County Judge. I'm still excited about having Maxine Jones, who came on and spoke to us about different things surrounding voting and really hammered. A lot of people had questions about when someone is incarcerated if they're still on paper or if they're off paper, and what they need to do by speaking with their parole officers or probation officers or whoever you need to talk to get a declaration to take to the polls with you so they can know that you can vote because you've done what you had to do to get off of paper from your incarceration. I mean, she's talking about a wealth of things. She just shares so much information. And you can go back on to my YouTube channel, Electric James Inspirational Talk, and look at these podcast interviews. Go on there for yourself. Go on there and look at the podcast interview I did with Reverend King. Go on, and it's not just them. All over this world. Find out about people. Read up on these people. Stop just going out here voting for people and not knowing anything about them. Do they support things that you support? Do they support your views? You have to say to yourself, nobody's going to want better for you like you should want better for you. And the way that you express your wanting better is get out there and vote and do what you need to do and care about your grandchildren. I will say this to the day that I die, and I mean it from my heart. I fight like I fight right now. I'm not just, I just vote just to vote. I fight in my interest so that my grandchildren will have a better life. So that my grandchildren, we won't lose things now that they're going to need when we dead and gone. We need to fight now while we got breath in our bodies to fight. These people talking about fining people for having water at a voting site. That is crazy. I went to vote on Monday, and I just walked straight through, me and my sister, to vote. The way that the world is now, we need lines at the door. We need lines going out the door, and we have to keep pressing for what our grandchildren can't do. I'm standing in the line today for the rest of my life so that my grandchildren prayerfully won't have to fight so hard because we finished the fight. And let me tell you, I got sense enough to know we never going to stop fighting because there's always going to be somebody that don't want you to have the simple things in life. They're angry because you want what they already enjoy. The freedom to vote. People died for us. It's our turn. We still here. The Martin Luther Kings, the Fannie Lou Hamers, all the people that voted, John Lewis's, all these people that voted, and it cost them something. And it's going to cost us something. And let me tell you, if we don't do something, if we don't rise up and do something, it's going to cost our grandchildren. I don't want my grandchildren here. And somebody asked them, what did your grandma do? What did your grandma do when democracy was at stake? What did your grandfather do when democracy was coming loose at the scene? What did they do? I want my grandkids to say, my grandma stood. My grandma spoke out. My grandma let her voice be heard. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to tell nobody how to vote. I'm just saying vote. Vote your conscience. Vote things that you are enjoying right now. Don't you know? Don't you know they sitting right there in different states, 19 states, changing laws so your grandchildren, your children can't have the same rights that they children will enjoy. You got to care enough to do something. We got to care enough to do something. Your voice is your vote is your voice. When people trying to keep something from you, they know it's of value. They know it's going to benefit you. You know, people keep talking about Jim Crow. Jim Crow is coming back on the scene. Jim Crow is here. James Crow, Esquire, his cousin, hey, he out the window. Jim Crow has come back. He just building his way back. Because they're dependent on you and me to sit at home and say voting isn't worth it. And that's the biggest lie that ever been told. Because if voting wasn't worth it, why do you have 19 states change laws? Because they didn't like the results of the last presidential election. That's why they changed these laws. We gonna teach them. And this been going on way before now. Way before now. You know, I look at us as a human race. And I sometimes have to sit down. Y'all hear me play that song all the time by the Staple Singers. We the people. When they say we the people, we put these people in office. These people work for us. How do you hire somebody and then let them run your company? How do you vote for people and then let them do whatever they want to? Don't even hold their feet to the fire. I don't care if they Democrat or Republican or independent. Hold their feet to the fire. Stop letting people just come out there, sing you some riddles, talk something to you, get in the office and sit down as if you don't exist. You hide them. You are their supervisors. And if they don't do what you want them to do, why you keep putting them in there? People sitting in these seats 30 and 40 years doing absolutely nothing but voting against the interests of the majority of the people. This is crazy. This is crazy that we are, I hear too many people saying this. Voting don't count. They just talking all that crazy stuff. I hear people, and I know some of y'all hear it too. And when people approach me and say, what's all this voting about? Let me tell you what it's about. If you still want to enjoy some of the rights that you got today, you need to be, and then I go into detail about it. See, sometimes you got to sit down long enough to have some conversations with some people and let them know, man, you got to get off the sideline. And the only reason why a lot of these people are saying this is because they listening to people that they wouldn't vote for Mickey Mouse if he was on the ballot. They wouldn't. Many young people like Beyonce and Jay-Z, they wouldn't even vote for them if they was on the ballot. Because they listening to people that don't take out the time, don't even take out the time to find out what do I need to do to make it better. What do I need to do? So you want them to just keep going in here? Come on, let's be honest now. They're going to keep going in here. What they call that, the no-knock. Killing folk in their own house. You shoot somebody in their own house with a no-knock warrant. You ever think about those mothers? They never going to see that 22-year-old gentleman was getting ready to move back home, close to his mom and dad in Dallas. All right, he gonna always be 22. Because that's when they lost him. See, when you haven't lost a child, maybe gun laws don't matter to you. Because you ain't never had nobody to take your child. Trayvon Martin, his mama and them, and his daddy, they child gonna always be 17. He gonna always be there. They just won a lawsuit yesterday, $73 million down there because all those little kids that was shot up. And the father stood up there with tears in his eyes. He said, my son gonna always be sick. What, 6 years old? What's wrong with us? When we got so voting didn't matter. Somebody explain that to me because I just can't understand it. They beat my cousin years ago on Lamarck side just for buying a house on Lamarck side. And they beat him. And my mama and them didn't even recognize him when they got to the hospital. That's how bad it was. See, we know some real stories. A lot of us know some real stories. We ain't forgot that stuff because every family has been touched by police brutality in some kind of way. I remember my mama and my daddy, we had a Cadillac, and I come from a large family, and I was sitting in the front seat between my mom and my daddy when the police officers stopped us. I was a little girl. I remember this like it was yesterday. I never saw my daddy cry. But when those officers started walking up on both sides of the car, and my dad was saying to us, just be quiet, just be still, don't say nothing. We got to live through this. I remember that. He never forgot it. And they asked my dad to get out the car, and they took him to the back of the car. And thank God they didn't beat him with us out there. And when he got back in the car, and I looked at my mama as a little girl, and tears was running down her face. And when my dad got back in the car and he reached across to my mom's hand, I knew from that day, something is not right. And I learned they could have killed him if they wanted to. But I know it wasn't nobody but the hand of God. It was nobody but the hand of God. So you ask the question. You ask the question, why? Electra, why are you so indebted about voting? Because Electra saw some things that I don't want to see no more. And we are seeing them today. I got an 18-year-old grandson. Y'all got grandchildren, granddaughters, grandsons. And you never want to, I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to say it by myself. I don't want to wake up and somebody took his life. I don't want to taste that. I don't want to walk that line. I don't want to. And y'all don't want to either. Whether it's your grandson or your granddaughter or your daughter or your son, you don't want that. Because they'll never go further than the age that they took them from you. And the only way we go, the little boy's father Sam said on last night, you don't know how it feels to walk this road. Them 23 parents, they ain't gonna never get their little 5 and 6-year-old children back. They ain't gonna never get that back. I'm serious about life. I was raised up that way. I can't help it. My daddy taught us that way. It's a time to have fun. But you can't just have fun in life. You got to do some stuff. I remember NAACP coming to our home, talking to my mom and them because they had terminated my mom from a job. Remember, unemployment used to be called, when they used to say we getting our pennies. That's what they used to say, but now they say unemployment. I remember my mom crying. I remember my mom telling them the story how that happened. And it wasn't that she done anything wrong. She was just black. We got to make a conscious decision. Listen, I'm serious, y'all. In the depths of my soul, if God took me today, right now, I want my grandchildren to know I did everything that I could to make sure that they had some rights, that everything wasn't taken from them, but that they got to keep fighting. They got to fight because, listen, we don't pass the torch. We just light they torch. Put something in them now. Outside scheduling the next big celebration. Put something in them now. Because they going to need this, y'all. They going to need this. They are going to need, and I know every last one of us have talked till we blue in the face. And sometimes, you know what? It's just like us. It seems like they not listening. But some of them things that your mama and your daddy told you, you went back and got that. You went back and got that. Voting is not a joke. Voting is your right. Sometimes you got to go back and get some stuff. Sometimes you got to go back and get some people. Sometimes you got to go back and we talk about Black History Month and we celebrate and everybody put in the books and that everybody say is important. Well, guess what? Your parents was important too. And your parents fought too. And your parents just didn't make it to the books. But they did stuff too. They did stuff too. Many of y'all can remember. I remember when all the blacks, when I was a little girl, I remember going to school over at Lincoln. Came through 12. Because we couldn't go to the schools on the Mark side. We had, that's what all our schools was, on West Texas City side. I remember that. Y'all remember that too. And you don't even have to live down here in Texas. It happened all over. You couldn't be caught on the opposite side of the street. You better not buy a home on the other side of the street. And I'm telling you, I saw it. I saw it. I was young, but I ain't forgot where I come from. I ain't forgot the tears in my daddy's eyes. I haven't forgot the tears in my mama's eyes. I haven't forgot those tears. Every time I think about those tears, I say to myself, they fought for me and I gotta fight for my grandchildren. Every time I think about their tears. It don't cost you nothing to get registered. And if you're not registered yet, get registered for the next election. But you just can't register. You got to participate. We got to get off the sidelines. I think I've been on here longer than I meant to keep y'all this morning. But let me tell you something. Voting is dear to my heart. Voting is so dear to me. Because I always, every time, I think about that song by the Staple Singers. We the people. We the people. We make the world go round. And then we the people, we, the human race, don't rise up. I'm telling you, Jim Crow is coming back stronger than he did. Stronger than he did. They giving people money, they winning cases. But you got some people, they don't care nothing about that money. And they just keep killing us. Keep killing our children. Keep killing our children. My heart grieves for the mother, the father. They have to put their children away. We want to get old and leave them with all the wisdom we can. They taking our children every day. And they trying to put laws into place that say it's all right. I'm telling y'all, man, I don't want to get that call. I don't want to get that call. Because that would break me. That would break me. And y'all don't want to get it either. I don't care whether you're a mother, a father, a grandmother, a grandfather, a aunt, a auntie, a person that just raised some children. You don't want that call. But if we keep sitting on the sideline and telling people that voting don't count, I'm telling you, we're going to end up being some sad people. Because we will pass on. And our children will suffer. So if nobody else want to go, election going. Because I remember seeing that moment when my dad got back in that car, coming out of Mississippi. We were still in Mississippi. We was coming back home. And he got back in that car, tears running down his face. And he reached across there. And my mama hand reached back, and their hands met. And this little girl here's my lap. I remember that. And I later found out they could have killed my daddy. But God left him here. God did that. And if they can fight, I can fight. If they can fight, you can fight. Because James Crow Esquire, his big cousin told him, you get out the way. I'm back. They taking these hoods off. They taking off the hoods and they walking around in suits. And they telling us, this my grandson hand, they telling us, we gonna do what we want to do to y'all, and y'all can't do nothing about it. But we can. We can go vote. All right? I'll talk to you guys later. Love you guys. Get out there and vote. Touch somebody else. Tell them to go vote. We can get this done. And then don't just stop in this election. Keep going until you don't have breath in your body to do nothing else. All right? Y'all have a wonderful day. See y'all tonight on Electric James Inspirational Talks. I'll be interviewing Commissioner Holmes. He's commissioner in Galveston County, Precinct 3. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.